So first, I'd like to ask you some questions about Consulting Resource Group, CRG. A bit about what is CRG all about? Why does it exist? And how did you get involved and become the president and CEO?
Well, CRG actually was founded by Dr. Terry Anderson. He was a professor at a local university. And many of us are familiar with, excuse me, psychological tools, assessments like DISC or Myers-Briggs. And so he was using some of those tools in his psychology courses. And he said, you know what, I think I can do a better job. I think I have some concerns with them. And so here is a different option for me. And what he did is he created our first tool, which is a personal style indicator, actually 40 years ago this year while we're
Oh,
recording this. So it started with the personal style indicator, and then it evolved from there into additional tools, and people wanted to buy it. And he never really intended to have a publishing company, but it was just so well done and so well received and so well thought out that here we are 40 years later in 12 languages, 30 countries. That was the birth of the personal style indicator. And of course, from there, Terry was a real networker. So his whole goal was, okay, how could we develop the whole person? So what are some other things that he was looking at or considering? And as a result of that, then we added, the values and the sales and the leadership and the self-worth and the wellness, and on it went into, 10 core assessments. I came across Terry at, oddly enough, a chamber event
okay.
in 1989, 1990. I had just started my own sales training company and came across Terry at this networking event. And within 2 weeks, we were sort of sharing an office. It was fortuitous. I mean, you talk about a single event that changed the entire trajectory of my life. It was that meeting with Terry. We're both in the same city, didn't know each other, but as a result of that, became friends. He was best man at my wedding just a few years after that. And so I got to know about the tools. I became the VP of marketing for the company. But then I got a very large contract with a large organization, it was actually with Chrysler Canada. And we started to use the tools, and I got so busy with the contract that I couldn't fulfill my obligations at CRG. And so I became a CRG associate, which is what you are, Ryan, with us, in that I started to use the tools and resources in the solutions that we were designing as an instructional designer for Chrysler. And they were always the highest rated courses we ever did. So when we the personal style indicator for leadership and communications and for service, we use the sales style indicator for the sales team. We use the leadership skills for the managers, and on it went. And then we designed an HR program for them as well. So I was busy being an associate, one of the top 3 in the world as far as how many CRG tools we're using. And then 9/11 happened. And a week after 9/11, my contract with Chrysler was canceled. So we had 12 full-time people that were working around the company, but just that event triggered it. Now, in many ways, it was a very good thing for me because I was on the road 250, 300 days a year for over 6 years, and I was tired of traveling. And so as a result of that, the opportunity to buy CRG came up. And then that was the transition to go from basically a speaker who was doing some writing to change my mindset to be an author who was going to do some speaking. And so I spent the next 10 years revising, updating all the content at CRG.